My name is Gregg Hanchett. I have handled some significant supervisory experiences, and I would like to take a few minutes to explain some of my philosophies of working with people and to highlight some examples of how I use various techniques to resolve significant supervisory problems. The philosophy I apply in all my supervisory relationships is not exactly new, but it still works like a charm. Treat others the way you want to be treated. In the vast majority of cases, I have found this to be sufficient to build strong relationships with subordinates. When it comes time for disciplinary action, there is another philosophy I apply. It says, trust but verify. In a perfect world, or in a perfect supervisory relationship, trust comes easily. However, once there is any upset, the supervisor needs to pay special attention. Trust but verify provides a way to establish checkpoints to ensure assignments are completed. However, some supervisory relationships include conflict, and not all conflicts are easy to resolve. Throughout my career, I have encountered a number of incidents that required decisive action. I'd like to tell 4 stories that give practical examples of how I resolved difficult situations. Each circumstance was very different, with different types of individuals and in diverse situations. First, there was the incident with a man with a very memorable name of Romeo. I describe him as old-school confrontational, the kind of classic relationship one thinks of between a union factory worker and a management representative. His philosophy seemed to be, always challenge so they will eventually leave you alone. In Romeo's case, at our paper mill, his reputation had many of the supervisors concerned. On my first contact with him, he was rude, loud, and verbally abusive. Initially I responded to him with respect, appealing to his wisdom and long experience running the particular machine. Over time he began to soften his stance. I believe it was through my application of the proverb, a soft answer turns away wrath. He simply got tired of not being able to get an angry response out of me. On the occasions when he challenged my authority, I resisted his challenge by not accepting his disobedience. I appealed to written union rules that he was obligated to follow. Since he had not earned any leniency, I was persistent in applying the letter of the law. Eventually he got the message that he wouldn't get away with his actions with me, and he gave up trying. We ended up having a fairly good relationship. Second is the story of Isaiah. During my time working for a non-profit organization in Spain, I had the responsibility for 4 Spanish graphic designers in an office setting. Isaiah was hired while I was away on sabbatical, and upon my return, I was his supervisor. While he was very friendly and easygoing, I found him to be unproductive, and soon he was slowing down my department's output. Much of what I tried to do to motivate him was unsuccessful. At one point, he failed to perform during an important deadline push. My superiors recommended that I release him, but they left the final decision to my judgment. I counseled him regarding the recommendation, but told him I was giving him one final chance. The fear of potentially losing his job, and the fact that he saw that I was sticking up for him was enough to cause a total turnaround in his performance. While he still hasn't reached his potential, he has taken on a new attitude towards his daily work, and today is a much better employee. The next 2 stories deal with the unfortunate circumstance of termination. I recognize that it is at times necessary, and I've had to deal with it directly. Megan came under my supervision as an unpaid intern during my work in Spain. She had worked for many months before arriving to raise the money and the support network required for the position. Within days of arriving in Spain, it was clear that Megan was having difficulty adjusting to life in a foreign country. Although we had arranged her housing and provided competent housemates, she was beset by panic attacks. During a hectic week, the entire department was up in arms because of the disruption she caused. After making every attempt to resolve her issues, it became clear that she had to be sent home. It was a particularly difficult situation given that it was an unpaid position and she had already spent a significant amount of money just to come to Spain to help us. I arranged with another female manager to sit with us during the meeting when I told Megan our decision to terminate her internship and that we were sending her home. Although firm in my action, I was particularly careful to be respectful of her and allowed her to maintain her dignity. Afterwards, the manager who accompanied me commented that she hoped that if she ever had to be fired, that I would be the one to do it. She appreciated my gentleness and compassionate manner. Finally, the last story took place during my work as an engineer in Wisconsin. The situation had the potential to be especially disruptive to a major project and ruin relationships with our largest client. Strong and effective intervention was necessary to avoid a disaster. A particular engineering technician was assigned to handle instrumentation design on the project where I was serving as project manager. I was his indirect supervisor. During a meeting at the client's mill, he made an inappropriate sexist remark. I was notified immediately afterwards by telephone by the client's representative who was present. It was clear that I had to take immediate action to investigate, restore client relationships, and keep the project on track. After investigating the circumstances, I required the technician to make an immediate apology to the client. I then took appropriate steps with the technician's direct supervisor for disciplinary action. I then had him removed from the project team, and I immediately began working to restore the project focus lost during the crisis. These 4 stories do not cover all situations that could occur between supervisors and subordinates, but my experiences have taught me a lot about how to handle the diverse situations that do occur. I've worked in a union environment, a technical office, and in cross-cultural situations. Each environment is unique, but I value relationships highly and work to maintain respect and dignity despite disagreements or during crises. These basic values have served me well, and I look forward to many more opportunities to work with people to reach common goals.